Relationships. When was the last time you looked at your customer and said, I'm trying to help you as much as possible in the dating phase and in the beginning of our relationship versus chasing them as they're trying to walk out the door? There is a way in order to build a relationship with your audience that helps them stick around for life. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast. In today's episode, we get to listen to an interview of Robert Skrobe, and Robert Skrobe is going to talk to us about how you create a relationship that can last the lifetime of a customer, which means that you have to get less customers to get an ROI that is ridiculously high. If you have a customer for life, you have the best asset and the best return on that relationship that you could possibly create. And so, when do you take care of them? Do you take care of them as they walk in the door? Do you take care of them as they're starting the onboarding process? Do you take care of them right before they're about to leave or as they're leaving? What is the best way in order to cultivate this relationship so that they perceive their investment in your product as an indispensable privilege? Let's listen in.
I don't think there's anybody that has had a bigger impact in the field of direct response than Dan Kennedy.
The legend of Dan Kennedy should be ignored at your own peril.
They're not really lessons, they're kind of laws that you live by.
Dan opened my eyes to what small business marketing looks like.
Dan teaches strategic direct response that is timeless.
His ripple effect touches people who don't even know his name.
The world as we know it was changed because Dan Kennedy became obsessed with marketing.
Welcome to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast with your host, Dan Kennedy.
How do you foster a stronger member relationship with your customers? Because if you're just out there selling products and using that member title without the relationship, you may just be making your retention problems worse. I'm Robert Skrobe, president of the Information Marketing Association and author of the official Get Rich Guide to Information Marketing. Today's program focuses on how you can improve your customer lifetime value and get a higher return on investment from all your marketing efforts by creating a long-term member relationship with your customers. Today is a bit different than most best practices calls. I'm sharing an interview of me conducted by Ken McCarthy for his System Club Masterclass. If you haven't heard of Ken McCarthy, this is a great opportunity to become acquainted. Ken is one of the earliest pioneers of internet marketing. In fact, he sponsored the first conference on the subject with the web's commercial potential back in 1994. And then as a guest, he had the then 23-year-old co-founder of Netscape, Mark Andreessen, as the featured speaker. Ken created many training programs throughout the 90s, and his system seminars were the first places many of today's internet marketing giants got their start. Today, Ken is largely retired. He keeps up with his System Club members, does a little bit of consulting, and manages his stock portfolio. This is a rare opportunity to hear from a giant of marketing who has largely stepped back from the platform, preferring instead to focus on his own businesses. Ken is a great interviewer. He's been at it for a few decades. So get out a pen, some paper for notes, and I'll turn you over to Ken McCarthy.
Hi, this is Ken McCarthy, and welcome to the System Club. This is our masterclass this month. And what's the masterclass about? Well, masterclass is going out and finding people that are doing remarkable things in business and marketing, not just in internet marketing, though pretty much everybody's involved in the internet now these days. But this is a case of a guest who has a broader vision than just the internet, and it's something that applies directly to anybody that's doing anything on the internet or any continuity, of course, on the internet, for sure. His name is Rob Skrobe. Among other things, he's the publisher of the Skrobe Report, which I am a subscriber to. And we're going to talk about his work, why it's so important, and what you can learn from him to pretty much instantly increase the value of your business and the size of your monthly revenue. So, Rob, welcome.
I'm proud to be here. I've been a follower of yours, 15, 18 years now, and I'm honored to be able to give back to the community. Thank you.
Oh, well, thanks for saying so. And I love getting the Skrobe Report because it makes me focus on one of the most important issues in business, which is once you've got customers or members or clients or whatever is that you call them, what do you do next? Mm-hmm. And that what you do next is really 80% of the game. And unfortunately, we're all guilty, me included, of not giving that aspect of our business its due. And Rob has made the focus of his business thinking about this subject, all the ramifications, all the variations, all the permutations of it, and reminding us all through the Skrobe Report and other vehicles, not only on how important it is, but giving us different ways of thinking about it and different ways of taking action to make sure that we're getting the most from the customers that we very laboriously and very expensively acquire. Mm-hmm. So, Rob, what was it that led you to decide, hey, you know what, this is what I'm going to focus on as an advisor?
Yeah, I've been in the association industry, the nonprofit world, for more than 20 years, and really stumbled onto Dan Kennedy and this whole world of magnetic marketing back in 1996. And so, I was applying. I learned copywriting from Dan's book on how to write a sales letter, writing a sales letter for an association to recruit membership, and I got a $7,500 bonus from a client for some marketing, and then I used that to buy a copy of all of Dan Kennedy's courses at the time. This was back in 1999, I believe, or 2000, and that was really the beginning of my education. And I figured out this whole world of information marketers, and started a business with Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer. Have really learned that side of it, but what I've been frustrated with is that this world of information marketing and internet marketing has never really figured out the membership concept other than labeling their customers as members. And it's very typical in the association world to have an average retention of your members from 1 year to the next at about 85%. Now, with the clients that I work with in the association world, if my association clients got 85%, I would be fired within weeks, because generally I'm in the 95 to 99% realm with my association clients. But what I found in this online or information marketing or this membership world is that they're not keeping 85% of their members from one year to the next. They're lucky to keep 15%. Yep. And very small changes to their retention can make huge differences in their income and in their lifestyle, and really just the overall security of their business, because it becomes a lot more stable, and they don't have this constant flow of customers running through their business. I call them grab and dashers that jump into membership, grab all they can, and then dash back out as fast as they came in. And instead, you have a business where you're building relationships and really building a lifestyle that is a lot more fun to operate under.
Yeah, I mean, just to look at this at the most simple level, and then we'll get into some of the techniques that you use and some of the mindset, really. I think mindset is a big part of what you're sharing with people. But the reality is, there is not an infinite number of customers in the world for what you sell, probably. And so the idea that you can endlessly just churn, that's a phrase that's been used for decades, just churn through customers and not retain them is kind of a form of madness. You're going to eventually run out. And also it's quite expensive to retain, to acquire a customer in the first place, and it's quite lucrative to keep them for as long as you possibly can. So this is, this is kind of the thing we talk about all the time, but we can never talk about it enough. And it's great to have somebody that just focuses on this and this exclusively with us today. So,
and it's funny, Ken, if you don't mind, one of my early mentors in the association industry actually sat me down very early in my career and said, "Hey, look, the universe of our potential members is limited, and if we systematically tick them off by not offering great service or not able to help them when they call or not building a relationship with them, that it won't be very long that we won't have any members to serve." And really beat it into me that, each relationship is a goal and opportunity that we have got to do everything we can to maximize.
Absolutely. And I think it's really clear. Let's say somebody's got an association of candy manufacturers, and I'm just pulling that out of thin air. Mm-hmm. There's a finite number of them, and there's not new ones pouring into the field every year. So if you know what your finite number is and you know how many you have, you know how precious they are. Mm-hmm. So I think running an association, the classic sort of traditional industry association, helps people focus on the reality. And I'm afraid on the more retail consumer side, it's sometimes easy to get kind of fuzzy-headed about how many actual prospects and potential customers you have. It's never infinite, no matter how big your scope is. There's always a finite number. So the real profits in business and the real stability, and you pointed out that enjoyment really of your business comes from retaining. It doesn't come, obviously you have to bring new people in, you have to have a lead generation campaign and so on. But for so many people, especially in the internet space, it seems to end there. We'll get them in, we'll get a couple of months out of them, and then, we'll get the next flock. And, that's got to be exhausting. So what's the big, if we could talk about mistakes, and if we were to focus on the one single biggest mistake that you see businesses make in this particular area, what would you say that it is?
Most people always look at when their members drop out and try to dangle something in front of them in order to keep them. One of my clients, early clients with the member retention side, was a company called Automattic Training Institute that works with auto repair shops, folks that repair your car, replace your tires, your brakes, or what have you. And in their program, their coaching program, we looked at their average, where their average retention, how long they kept a customer on average, and that's a pretty easy number to figure out. When they joined, and then you record when they drop, and you measure the number of days between those two dates, and then you come up with an average for all the customers that you have. And what we started the project was they wanted to take that average and try to do something for them right before that average point in order to try to keep them. And really, how you save the relationship and how long the relationship lasts has everything to do with how the relationship begins. And what we did is focused on the onboarding process, how we greeted the member and welcomed them in with new member welcome kits, and helping them understand the expectations that they had in the coaching program, the expectations we needed them to do in order to get results, and how the process worked. And very quickly, we were able to increase their average membership, average length of a member by 3.5 months. And what that did to the company was add $1.4 million in revenue. But more important than the 1.4, which is there really anything more important? But the business became, well, there's still problems and there's still things to work out. It became a lot more fun to run because they now had more people coming to their annual super conference. They now had more success stories to report because people were more engaged. And the business was a whole lot more successful, and it all started with how they onboarded their members and welcomed them. So many times we really focus on, okay, how many automatic one-click upsells can we do, and how many clicks can we get them to run through this little gauntlet of upsells? And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that is fabulous to do. We've got to maximize transaction size. But then when all the dust settles and they go to bed at night, you go to bed at night, what do you do the next day in order to build a relationship? That's where your retention starts.
Gotcha. So it's such a simple thing, really. It's just an investment of thought, and then you figure out, okay, how are we going to execute? We've got the idea to do this now, and how are we going to do it? But really, it's the biggest cost is just to stop, take a breath, and think. How are we greeting people once they've given us that first check? Are we just sending them an invoice, or are we sending them a welcome package that acknowledges that we've started this new thing together? And amazing that you could add, just by that one touch, you could add an extra 3 months of retention. The thing that you mentioned about conference, I want to point out to anybody if they've not run a conference, this will probably be obvious to anybody that has, is there's an economy of scale, and there's a cost of sort of a managerial cost of putting the thing together and getting the speakers and renting the big room and all that stuff. And the more the merrier. The more attendees, the merrier. I mean, the cost of management is pretty much fixed, and usually pretty much the cost of the hotel is pretty much fixed. I mean, they can always make a bigger room and for a few more bucks. But the profits that accrue when you add an extra 20 or 50 or 100 or 500 people, it's almost all profit at that point. You need a certain number of attendees just to pay the bills, and once you've done that, it feels, at least the way when we ran our business, it always felt like pure gravy to us. So you might be going from an annual conference that's sort of a struggle financially to one that's really massively lucrative, just simply by improving the relationship you have with your members. It's funny that the company that you worked with first said, what do we offer them when they want to leave? Mm-hmm. It's almost like a courting method where you say, okay, when my wife's about to walk out the door and serve me divorce papers, what do I do then? It's like, well, how about the 100 other steps that you could have taken potentially to head that off? It's just a very funny mindset to think in terms of, okay, once we've blown it, or once the relationship's gone south, how do we restore it when it's so much easier to create a positive relationship? I guess that's the way we think. That's such a great tip, and I hope everybody is thinking a lot about that. You spend so much energy and time and thought to get somebody to send you that first payment and to make that first commitment. Why not invest something significant in wowing them and making them feel like, wow, I just joined something amazing, as opposed to, it's another bill to pay every month. Now that's got to be a big thing to overcome, because people are looking at their credit card statements, and whether they're a business or whether they're a lone entrepreneur, and they see this monthly charge. It's outgo. What are they getting for it? If they don't feel they're getting something great, the rational thing for them to do is cancel.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I used to train, we have an association management company here that I purchased back in '99 from my then boss. And one of the things that I used to train my people is I said, go home and go to your checkbook and write a check for the association out of your checkbook. You know what the balance is. I have no idea. You now think of what it would take to write this check out of your own checkbook and feel that expense. Now, for a lot of us, we're making enough money, it doesn't really matter. We could buy something and it makes no difference. But for our customers, that's real money, and they're making the choice between going out with their spouse or not. And what you have to do is turn that expense into something that they prize so much they wouldn't think of doing anything with that, and that, if for some reason their credit card expires or they want to they're scrambling over glass in order to get you the new updated information so that they can stay connected. And and that's the bar that you want to set for yourself when you're building a relationship. And I thought it was funny that you mentioned about the divorce. If your spouse is ready to divorce you. I've been married for 22 years now, and so I haven't been dating in a very, very long time. But more than 22 years, in fact. And so it may be different than it was then, but back in the day when you started a relationship, there was a first date, and if there was to be a second date or any kind of ongoing relationship, you had to call her and the next day or the day after in order to kind of reconnect. And maybe they're texting now or what have you, but there has to be some sort of post-date communication. And that probably ought to be thought out as to trying to make it as effective as possible. And so many times as a new customer, they buy, we send them what they got, and it's like slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, and kind of like what I say is they really have a series of one-night stands instead of building a relationship with their customer. And really having a system to be able to do it at scale where it isn't so manually focused. And my goodness, we have some of the best CRMs that have ever been around in history, and we're using them to convert customers, but we're not using them to convert relationships.
Yeah, it's the software that helps you turn a prospect into a lead is the same software that can help you turn a customer into a follower, into a devoted, enthusiastic follower. Mm-hmm. I love that image you gave of somebody. And it's a simple concept, but we don't really look at it, and we really should, of it not appearing as an expense, but as a gateway, to this wonderful thing they're getting. There are products and services that I resent having to buy. I probably don't like paying my utility bill every month, but I got to pay it. But then there are other services that I get that, oh my God, I wouldn't want to be denied the privilege of giving them money, so that I get the good. So at a very basic level, the customer, the member, has to feel that they're getting a great deal. Whether they're paying $95 a month or $950 a month or more, or $9 a month, whatever the amount is, they have to feel that it's actually a deal that they're coming out as the winner. They're getting things that they no other way could they put together on their own if they tried to put it together themselves.
No question, and I think one of the real keys is, and you probably see like what you mentioned, is the real difference between products that like utilities. I mean, my goodness, you could think of that in a completely different way because that the utility powers your entire life. It provides you hot water and the power that you use to run your computers, and it's a really an amazing gift, but yet your feelings about it are not as romanticized as I've just made it. And so the difference between something you love to invest in and something you resent is really just a personal feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And once it's a perception. And once we recognize that the perception of what they're investing in completely controls their behavior, well, now we've got to learn to study the whole process of controlling the perception. And it wasn't that long ago, I for whatever reason, keep bringing up association examples, but I've been working with for-profit memberships for more than 10 years. But back in the day when I was just learning copywriting in 2000, I had an association I was marketing that it's one single benefit that it delivered. They gave you nothing. There was no return on your investment for joining this association. The only thing you got was a custom renewal invoice 12 months after you joined. That was all you would ever receive. And what it helped me understand is that folks buy things and they join and they're members of things for a lot of different reasons other than the return on investment. And really one of the big breakthroughs that I was able to do with the association world was when I brought return on investment to it. When I first joined Dan Kennedy's coaching group back in 2003, I showed him some examples, and he's going, the results and things, and he was very proud. He suggested I should share it with everybody else. But the real key, the reason why I started getting great results was the ROI. The association world has figured out that there are a lot of other reasons why people join and they stay engaged and become a member that are well beyond ROI. And that's really one of the key ways that you can grow your membership, is rather than being on this treadmill of providing content and thinking, oh my goodness, if I want to double my membership, then instead of delivering a 12-page newsletter, I need to deliver a 24-page newsletter. Well, value is just like water. Too much is just as bad as too little. And if you try to overwhelm them or wow them by delivering more, you're going to chase them off by delivering too much.
Well, that is also has an analogy in the dating world. It's not a good thing to what they say, come on too strong. It's good to be polite. It's good to be interesting. It's good to be interested. But if you're gifting the pursuit of your affections with lavish gifts early on, that makes people go, wait a minute. This is a little too much. So interesting, yeah. So that's another use of that analogy. So if people are looking for things beyond a clear-cut dollars and cents return on investment, what are some of those things that people look for when they join a community or an association, or just get involved with an ongoing service?
And what I've been with the for-profit world, these are things, whether it's software as a service or as you're delivering a subscription, we can go over quite a few different examples of folks that have incorporated these things into their businesses that it doesn't it may sound, oh well, that's not the type of business I'm in. But if you are in the business of trying to lead people, then this is the business you're in. Otherwise, you're just in the one-night stand business. So one of the key things is a chance to be part of something bigger than themselves. And when you use an Apple product, when I first went to Apple and started working on my MacBook, I thought, oh my goodness, I've really got to step up what I'm writing, because I need to make sure that whatever I write is worthy of this device. I mean, it just works so well. And, the thing, it was like I was part of this culture of artists and magical people who were using this type of equipment, and now I got to use the same thing they were. And whatever you're doing, if you provide and present a mission for what you're after, that's bigger than just exchanging something for money, you're going to attract customers to you that want to be part of your mission, in addition to receiving your products and services. And the connection between an Android user and an Apple user is huge. They don't have anywhere near the same emotional connection to their device, and it's because Apple works hard at giving you the feeling that you're part of a special group and you are better than others because you use this type of product.
Gotcha. And they've been able to leverage that into charging 4 times as much for their hardware as anybody else. And I'm reminded of I have a kind of an interesting perspective on this because a friend of mine was the PR advisor to Steve Jobs when Steve Jobs took Apple back. In fact, I was having dinner with him when the text came in, and it was a text from Steve Jobs that said, "Call me." And he showed it to me on his text. I hope he photographed it because that was certainly a historic moment. And, Apple had that amazing mystique that they originally created when they first started. And then they brought in the Pepsi guy. I don't know what his plan was, but he didn't really accomplish much except almost run the company into the ground. And he was more of, I guess, a commodity sort of guy. And then Jobs came back and managed to reignite that passion for basically for the box. And I remember one of the things he did, which I thought was nuts at the time, but I now think it had a stroke of brilliance to it. Along the Hudson River, there's this sort of a pier area down in Lower Manhattan, and he had huge posters of billboards of Gandhi and Miles Davis and I don't know, just Einstein, and it said "Think Different." I think that was their motto way back when. And I thought, this is just silly. But I realized, no, what he was doing was he was associating creativity and, progress and ingenuity and, broad thinking with the Apple product, so that you're right. It's you join this magic society. You don't just get a machine. You're part of this society of geniuses. Now, Einstein never used an Apple computer. I'm pretty sure Gandhi didn't either. So it was very clever of him to. And all those people, what do they represent? They represent something bigger than us. Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So how do I do that? Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to. One of the key ways of doing that is, yes, he helped you associate your product with something bigger. Another key way of doing this is to advocate on behalf of your members, so that let's say we're selling to internet marketers. Well, internet marketers are a very often misunderstood bunch, and people just think that they're out there online sucking money away from old people and widows. And, in fact, they do a lot of great things that help people in their everyday lives. And there's not enough people that help tell the story of how internet marketers are really focused on helping people by providing them with solutions to their everyday problems. So, I could go on. I just made that up, but
you know what? I love that. As a advocate of internet marketing, I have to confess I've seen the problem, but the solution never occurred to me. And you just gave me maybe my year's worth of great ideas in 1 second there. Because there are people bringing services and information and experiences that would be otherwise unavailable by any other source. I'll give you an example. I don't mean to take us off track, but a couple of years ago I started putting up videos, curating videos of jazz musicians, classic jazz musicians, on a website. And it's all from YouTube, but I organize it and make it really easy and indexable and searchable and so on. And I now have 40,000 plus subscribers, and years later. And this is something that people love it. The people that love it, they love it, like with a capital L and 50-point type, all exclamation point bold. I mean, they're mad for it. And this is something that would have been physically impossible. There would have been no way to deliver, a full archive of these videos to people by any other means had the internet not come along and had I not applied some internet marketing chops to this issue. And it is a positive. It's a total positive. It's positive for the fans. It's positive for the musicians. It's positive for the kids that are trying to learn the music. I mean, it's just an amazing, amazing thing. And we don't have that in our industry. We don't have somebody going around and chronicling the wonderful things that some internet marketers are doing. I don't know if we can get into the details of this, and tell me if we can't, but one of your clients is InfoSoft.
Information Marketing Association. Yeah, and in fact, if that advocacy on behalf of their members is what associations do. It's essentially that's their bread and butter, and why people are so loyal to them for often decades. People join an association, and they stay in that association as long as they're in that career. And very often, as marketers, I've had folks tell me, well, it just feels like I'm preaching to the choir. And I thought, and we, I go like, okay, well, let's unpack that a little bit. Why, there's this negative connotation around preaching to the choir that, all you're doing is telling internet marketers how valuable internet marketers are. And yet, when the really one of the things that people go to church to hear, a lot of people go, some of them go for a lot of other reasons, but some of the people who go to church are there every week to hear what they already believe and have someone confirm their beliefs and tell them what they already believe in. And certainly that's what a lot of talk radio is, and that describes Fox News. And certainly
people like Rush Limbaugh, people just those that like that, they can't get enough of it.
And so those businesses are built, and they do a lot of good, and they help and bring a lot of issues to light, and in no way demeaning any of those, but for a lot of their listeners, a very large percentage, they're going to hear, they're showing up to hear what they already believe. And by you proclaiming the value of internet marketing and what they're doing and helping them see the value of their contribution to the economy, they love it and they want more. And that is as valuable as showing them the next new trick for internet. And in fact, it may be more so because chances are they already have plenty of tricks. They just need to feel better about themselves. And if you help them feel good for an hour, then you have greatly contributed to their self-worth, self-esteem, and their day and their lives. And that was a lot easier than coming up with the next new trick.
Yep. There's a book that our member Gary Bencivenga recommends as he thinks it's one of the greatest books on salesmanship and he even says copywriting, even though it's not a copywriting book, which is Frank Becker's How I Raised Myself from a Failure to Success Through Selling. And it's really, I totally recommend that book to everybody. It is not a trivial book at all. It's quite profound. And I think the fact that Gary thinks so highly of it, that should be enough for everybody to read it. But I want to also add my voice to it. But and it's not really a technique. It's not a book of techniques. It's really it's a book of mindset. And one of the things that he talks about in the book is when making sales calls, Becker was an insurance salesman, he would get to know, and he sold to businessmen, he would get to know the business. He would be aware of the business. He would be aware of their challenges. He'd be aware of their triumphs. And when they had a triumph and he made a call on them, he was aware of the triumph and he brought it up. that he said that, and it makes perfect sense, He said that made a huge difference on the relationship he had with the people that he called on. He also would encourage young businesses. They may not, they were struggling, but he'd drop by, hey, how you doing? How's it going? And show, real interest in their venture and what they were trying to accomplish. And this created a great bond because, insurance is insurance, and how on earth do you distinguish yourself from any other 10,000 people selling insurance? And yeah, of course, if you know where that person lives, so to speak, psychologically, and you can talk to them about things of interest to them that uplift them, because we're all, as business people, wow, we're all under the gun all the time. We have too much to do with too few resources, and we're never making the money that we really want to make. It's just, it's always that. And nobody cares. So when somebody shows up who cares, who gets it, and cares, that's like a big deal. So this is very, very powerful what you're talking about. And let me switch gears on this and ask a question. Let's say I don't have a membership, anything that can be interpreted as a membership. Let's say I am an auto repair shop. People just come in, they get their car fixed, and they go. Is there anything of what you do that, and that defines a lot of businesses, restaurants, dry cleaners. There's just 1,000,001 businesses like that. Is there anything that you do or approach that you take that can help accompany a business like that?
Sure. I think probably Simon Sinek and his you can watch. He has a TED Talk called "Begin with Why." I think it goes to those types of businesses more specifically with this concept. We've been like you mentioned Frank Betker's positioning, and also why you're in this business, which is so much more powerful than exactly what you're doing. So if you have a restaurant and let's say you have Cajun food, well, we're all about celebrating the Cajun way of life and bringing the Cajun way of life to Peoria, Illinois, and we want to bring a little bit of New Orleans to Peoria, and so we're not about just selling red beans and rice. We're about bringing the New Orleans lifestyle to Peoria, and so it becomes this group of people who love the New Orleans lifestyle. You can imagine such a thing. No, you can, but
that exists. By the way, there are many bars and restaurants around the U.S. that are outposts, that are cultural outposts of New Orleans. There's even some that organize annual trips to the city because it's such a unique cultural place. And people that love New Orleans, and if they're in, there's one in like Pennsylvania, like it's a bar and grill. And it literally is like a little piece of New Orleans stuck in southeast western Pennsylvania. So this is, I don't know if you knew that, but this is a real phenomenon that you're describing.
And it could be also, if like the auto repair, it could be all about safety. And so you start your commercials and your messaging with your customers. The last thing I want is for your daughter to get stuck on the side of the road in her car. So let me tell you about the 3 things that you need to look for as you begin this summer. Well, nobody wants to look for anything. The first thing they're going to do when they hear that commercial is drive their car to that auto repair shop to have it looked at to make darn sure their daughter isn't stuck on the side of the road with the car.
Gotcha.
And so it isn't about, I want to work on your car. It's about, I want to make sure that your vehicle is safe for you and your family. And it's not about serving food. It's about the New Orleans lifestyle, or it's about the healthy lifestyle, or it's about an hour you can go someplace and forget about your problems and just relax and have a nice time.
Yeah, no one will confuse the New Orleans lifestyle with a healthy lifestyle. but I get your point.
Well, yeah, that was a list. It wasn't necessarily all the same one.
But it is this idea that, here you are living in, a suburb of Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's a wonderful city, but it's Pittsburgh, and especially in the winter, you're not in Key West. And the idea that you can get in the car and drive somewhere and kind of be down south, and, the food's southern and the music's southern and everybody's sort of, in that mindset, that's a great service to offer people.
Everybody's escaping from their reality, or trying to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can be the thing they escape to, either because they want to get away from their bills, either by going out for an evening or going to a concert or running to your home equity line of credit, if anything like that exists anymore, but what have you, whatever it is that you're offering, if you're offering it as an escape, then you're going to succeed and have customers coming to you. And whether you offering it as a membership, or you are doing your business, just as a one-off customer without a structured membership, you're going to grow a following by delivering and selling escape. That's why Jimmy Buffett is huge, and his the difference between Jimmy Buffett and his guitar playing and Eric Clapton and his guitar, there's absolutely no comparison.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Jimmy Buffett has licensed products, restaurants, thousands of fans. His concerts sell in seconds, and all of it is because he sells an escape. You can put in a song and transport yourself to the beach on your as you sit in traffic on the interstate, and that's a thing that he figured out that Eric Clapton has not.
Mm-hmm. So it makes perfect sense, and probably from a strictly musical point of view, Eric Clapton is probably the superior musician too, to top it off.
I would say by 10 and Jimmy Buffett has said, that's why I feel comfortable saying it, is he has said himself that Eric Clapton is a much better guitar player than he'll ever be.
Yeah. So we've seen a few things here. One is if you have a community business or a continuity business or a membership business, step one, don't make your system be, okay, when they're leaving, what do we offer them to keep them to stay? That's like, don't do that. On the positive side, when somebody signs up, how can we make that signing up, I guess that term now these days is onboarding. How can we make that onboarding experience really remarkable, something that makes them sit up and go, wow, I'm really part of something. Another issue that you raised is this being part of something. How do we make the experience of doing business with us bigger than just simply the transaction of an oil change for $20? No, I'm actually ensuring the safety of my daughters. Wow. Well, that's a whole different world than an oil change, and yet they are actually equivalent things. We've talked about the power of escape. And this, I hope everybody caught that. It's a very profound concept that we really all, whether we're massively successful or moderately successful or not, it doesn't matter who we are. We all think there's some better place than where we are, and we'd like to go there. And maybe we know that we can't go there because we have a family or a business or whatever, but we'd sure like an afternoon there or an evening there or a week there or a weekend there. What else can we do if we've got, and also to be a spokesman, to be an advocate, to be the positive light amongst your group? For instance, I think the example of internet marketing is just brilliant. We hear, unfortunately, the negative side of internet marketing is often the most prominent thing in people's minds, and that is hard on us, frankly. And the idea of reminding, having a steady stream of reminders that, see, there are people doing amazingly positive things with internet marketing. I think that's a great idea. So what else can we do along these lines to tighten the bar? And also, you said something really important too. It's not a matter of volume. It's not a matter of, all right, let's send them a 500-pound box of tapes or DVDs or whatever these days. That is not necessarily the answer. In fact, may be a negative. You may overwhelm them, and they may think, "Oh my God, this is too much. I can't deal with it. I better go somewhere else." Because we're kind of running up on time. So, what would be one last one that we should chew on and think about when it comes to our businesses and what we can do to retain our customers longer, or if we have a membership, our members longer?
We talked a little bit about onboarding, but I didn't really give a lot of information about what to do there that would be valuable. Do you think that would be helpful to give a...
I would love that, because it is surely a neglected art.
Sorry. So, Ken, imagine if you would, you were too busy to get breakfast. You now have, because of meetings and travel and what have you, you missed lunch, and it's 3:00 in the afternoon, and you're starving. You walk in, you got a headache, you can't really see, you're just starving, hungry, and you find a restaurant, you go in, and of course it's 3:00, so there's nobody around anywhere. You finally kind of wave down the hostess who's over off in the corner doing some table work, and she comes up to you and finds you a seat, and then at your booth you're greeted by your server, and your server says, "Oh my, you look very hungry today. Tell you what, this time of day there are 3 things that come out of the kitchen the fastest. Number 1, number 2, or number 3. Would you like to order one of those 3 things, or would you like to see the whole menu?" How do you feel?
I love it. And even if I want to see the whole menu, I love that somebody is looking out for me and helping me navigate the maze. I'm amazed. I don't think I've ever had that experience in a restaurant in my life.
So when with our members, we want, they are joining because they're hungry. They perceive some deficit in their life that they want to cure, they want to fix. And they're joining your program because they want to fix that. Chances are the reason they feel like they have a void in their life is because your sales message told them they had a void and then increased the pressure on them to the point where they're going, finally, I got to buy. So you have created this hunger and this desire. And so now they come in, they buy, they're sitting down, and they're ready to consume. And what do they get? Is it a box of 24 DVDs? Do they have to go through? Is it a member site? I had a client who had this beautiful member site, had way more than 1,000 awesome videos. They were funny, they were informative, and he called it the something library. And I said, how are libraries valued in our society? I mean, that's where the homeless use the restroom, right? And the library isn't and the library isn't helping the homeless at all. So our people don't want libraries. And then also, folks, the same person was going, oh, well, I send my new members cookies in order to welcome them, and thank you. And oh, man, I love everybody who sends cookies to my office. But if you walked into that restaurant and the server met you at the table and said, "Oh, darling, it's great to see you. We got some desserts left over from lunch. Here they are," you'd be going, "I haven't eaten all day. If I eat this dessert, I'm going to be sick. I don't want this. I'm hungry. Give me some real food." Well, now after you ate and you had a nice meal, if then she brought you some desserts, now all of a sudden they're bonus. You love it. So you created a hunger with your sales message as to the problems they have and how they can solve them. Give them a solution to that problem as quickly as possible. And I know we're running out of time, but I'll give a very, very quick example to help clarify. I have a client, Michael Rosbrook, who works with CPAs and attorneys who market to people with IRS tax problems. And very often he's marketing to CPAs as kind of like a biz op, helping them get into that niche as an addition to their business. And one of the, so he tells them all about this niche and how valuable it is and how those clients are going to help them. And now they get in and they get this binder, and it is probably 4 inches thick. And there's a good 8 hours of audio to teach them how to market for those clients, how to convert them into when they come into your office, how to build your value and how to sell them and how to charge them and collect that, and then how to control the client, because my goodness, if they haven't been able to file the tax returns, chances are they're not really good at like number stuff. So now you've just put yourself dealing with these people who aren't numbers folks, probably have poor records, and then also how to actually negotiate with the IRS. And it's like this wonderful, beautiful system. I said, look, what is the single fastest way somebody can get results with your system? And we worked on this for a little while, and then finally it was, well, I got this referral letter, and if they send out this referral letter, then they're going to get clients. Perfect. So now when somebody buys his system, it's I think it's a couple $1,000. The CPA, the first thing they see is a video of Michael with the kit. And he goes, welcome to this program. I'm so glad that you're here. You're going to receive this entire system. It's going to walk you through everything you need from sales to, from marketing to sales to actually getting it done with the IRS. But there's this one thing that I'm setting right here on top, and this is the referral letter. Before you do anything else, get this referral letter into the mail. And in here it we walks through the process of who to send it to, how to get it out, where it should go. And now when he has his clients are getting customers and clients within days of buying his system. And is his system something they can just let dust accumulate on the shelf? No, because they got clients coming in. They got to figure out the sales piece, and now they got to figure out the client control, and now they got to call and get engaged. So by giving them this one little thing to satisfy that hunger and helping them get started, it totally changes the entire client relationship.
Wow. And I want to point out something that you said is it took a while for you working with the client to figure this particular thing to offer. The principle is clear. I mean, you knew it, he knew it. But coming up with that thing, what Dan Kennedy would call the widget, what's the thing that we can put on top of the package so that when they receive it, it gives them an immediate wow. It's so funny. Everything that you talk about, we talk about in terms of copywriting on the acquisition side. Give them some wows in the letter, give them some amazing information in the letter that makes them go wow. But again, unfortunately, the typical thing to do is you've got the client and then you just ship them the package and that's it. So there's an old saying in sales that a lot of people neglect and maybe don't understand fully, but I think anybody that's listening to this call really understands it now, and that's this. The most important sale is the sale after the sale. Because that's where you're going to have client retention and the real profits that having this kind of a business has the potential to generate. Rob, this has been a great call. You really lit me up, and you've given me a lot to think about for 2016. Especially love I loved it all, but I especially love this idea that we in the internet marketing world should be doing more to let everybody know about all the good things that are being done with internet marketing. Not just money making. People are making money, of course, but how about all the services we're rendering? How about all the great experiences we're making possible that otherwise people couldn't get? That was a real big one for me. But this whole concept of the sale really begins after the sale, and it makes a huge difference not only in your satisfaction with your business, but in your financials. Rob, thanks again. Great call, great way to end the year for us here at the System Club. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Magnetic Marketing Podcast with Dan Kennedy. If you love hearing in on these lost Dan Kennedy talks and speeches and calls, then please let someone else know about this podcast. That's how you can help it to grow. And the more it grows, the more free Dan Kennedy we can bring to you. Also, Dan would love to give you the most incredible free gift ever, designed to help you make maximum money in minimum time. Now, this free gift comes with almost $20,000 in pure money-making information for free just for saying maybe. You can get this gift from Dan right now at nobsletter.com. Not only will you get the $20,000 gift, you're also going to get a subscription to 2 marketing newsletters that will be hand-delivered by the mailman to your mailbox each and every month. One from Dan Kennedy and one from me, Russell Brunson. To get this gift and your subscription, go to nobsletter.com right now.